Hey darts fans, that's a 180 with a, what do they call that? I can't remember. There's a name for that, isn't there? That's like the William Tell. Anyway, that would only count as a 120, but never mind. Hey darts fans, it is your pal Timo Newman here, the transporter. Welcome to our channel, Undarted Waters. This is going to be a quick video tonight. I wanted to just add to the bad news that I talked about last video a couple of days ago, the tragedy of the player who has a 50% accuracy. Now what I spoke about there I presented in a table, but what I've got here actually, I've printed out a different way of looking at it, which is, I hope you can see that okay. Let's see, is that clear? Yeah. So this is a graph of the same thing. Let me just bring it a little bit closer. There we go, you can see it better now. So what I'm plotting here is the best segments that you should aim for to get your best scoring depending on your accuracy, 100% all the way down to a beginner who would be under 20%. And like I said a couple of videos ago, if you're a player whose accuracy is between 100% and 67%, you need to be aiming at the 20 segment, but if you're below that, it's the 19 segment. But once you start to get below 50% accuracy, you got to go for the 7 segment. That's the magic segment. And then if you're a beginner and your accuracy is really poor, you're better off at the 1 segment, because you're going to miss it a lot aiming for 1. You're going to get a lot of 18s and 20s. But what I'm plotting here is what is your average score per dart. And remember what I said last time, we're not worrying about trebles here. It's just, you just get the number value of the segment. So if you're a perfect player and you're aiming for 20s, you hit them every time, your average score per dart will be 20. But that will start to come down as your accuracy decreases and you spray into the 1s and 5s. But what you see here is that the accuracy decreases till you get to about the average score decreases until you get to about 50% accuracy. And then here's the tragedy, it starts going up again. So if you're a very inaccurate player aiming at 1s, you're probably going to score quite well. You're going to hit a lot of 18s and 20s, okay? So that was kind of what I talked about last time, but I want to just tell you a little bit more why this is really quite a tragic result for the 50% accuracy players. Let's ask a different question. We could ask, what's the worst segment to aim for if you wanted to get your scoring as low as possible? Or rather, let's say the game was you had to get the lowest scores, then at high accuracy, a very good player, if you had to say to them, get the lowest score possible, they're going to aim for the 1 segment, right? So you need to think of this as the worst segment to go for if you want to score high, or the best segment to go for if you have to score low. But as that very good player starts, you start to get players with decreasing accuracy, they still need to be aiming for the 1s to get the lowest possible score, but the score creeps up because they start hitting 18s and 20s. But notice again how this curve has its biggest value around those players with 50% accuracy. So for a 50% accuracy player, the worst segment to aim for if they want to score high is 6. But notice how it then starts to come down again. So for really weak players, they will score badly if they aim for the 17, because they won't hit it much and they'll hit a lot of 2s and 3s, okay? But the reason I wanted to show you this is because if I put these two curves together on one piece of paper, this is the real tragedy now, okay? So I've got the best targets, this is to get the best possible score, the 20s, the 19s, the 7s and so on, depending on accuracy. The worst targets. But notice how if you're a very good player, there's a really big difference in what you're going to score if you go for the best segment versus the worst segment, obviously, right? And if you're a very poor player, there's a big difference in your average score, depending whether you go for the best segment for scoring or the worst segment for scoring. But look at this very sad thing. If you are a 50% player, whether you go for the best possible segment like a 7, or the worst possible segment like a 6, it actually doesn't really make much difference. There's only about a 3-point difference between the best possible thing you can do and the worst possible thing you can do. So if you're a 50% player, you literally can't do better than this and you can't do worse than that. And it's just a 3-point difference. And in the middle is this line. This is random darts. That's a blindfold player. So a 50% player basically is a blindfold player because they can't do well and they can't do badly either. So it's like incredible. You know, even if they wanted to do badly, they couldn't, because the worst segment to aim for them is 6, but they're going to miss it a lot and get 13s and 10s, so they can't actually score that low, and they also can't score that high. So this to me is a really, really sad result, and it really tells me, I think, that players whose averages are whose accuracies are between 40 and 60%, they're trapped where they basically are not that different to random darts, to a blindfold player, and you've just got to escape that. That's a miserable existence as a darts player. You need to get up to those 70 plus level accuracy where you should then be aiming for 20s, and you see how you escape this horrible trap where it doesn't really matter what you aim for. Basically, you want to be aiming for stuff and you're hitting it, and actually it matters that you're aiming for those good segments. So I hope that was relatively clear with all of those graphs there, but I think it's just such an interesting story. Maybe this is known. If you've seen this before, please let me know in the comments. If you're someone who's measured your segment accuracy and you are around 50%, I hope this has motivated you to keep playing darts, but to really get that accuracy up to the 70 plus, and then I think you'll make such a big difference in the fact that it makes sense to aim for 20s and you'll actually benefit from it. Okay, so there we go. Hope that was useful, and we're going to move on to a different topic now, I think, in the next few videos, which is all going to be about secret numbers hidden in the dartboard, basically looking at how big is a treble compared to the bull, how big is a double compared to the bull, and there's some beautiful secret numbers hidden in there. So I look forward to telling you all about that. In the meantime, enjoy the darts, 3 darts per go, stay strong. Who dares wins. All the best.